What is up, everyone? Yours truly, Valencia King, here with another amazing, incredible, one-of-a-kind episode of The Dialogue. Now, can I get a Listen, so if you were rocking with us about 360 some odd days ago, then you might recall that we did an entire 2-week celebrating fathers. It was an amazing celebration. We talked to over 15 dads, and just the conversations were impactful, they were heartfelt, they were meaningful, and they're still going on because right now for 2021, the celebration is continuing on. Okay, we are still in this because listen, I know Father's Day is a day, but these fathers are fathers year round, all right, 24/7 or 25/8, okay? When you're a parent, there's no clocking out. There's no days off. So I am excited to bring on our father, one of our fathers for this year's celebration, DaVante McKinney. He is a father, obviously an incredible one at that. He is a coach, he is a bodybuilder, and he is a staff development specialist as well. So we'll get into a little bit of that towards the midst of our conversation. But let's go ahead and welcome the one, the only, DaVante McKinney's in the building. Hey.
What's going on? What's going on?
Listen, you are going on. Fathers across the world are going on. All right. We're celebrating you. It's obviously the month of June, but we want to continue these conversations, like I said, year round. And before we dive into our conversation, shout out to JR Bennett, who was the plug, the connect. If you don't remember, I will link his episode from last year's Father's Day celebration in the comment section down below. But shout out to JR Bennett and his sports group, Bias Sports Talk, because that's how their plug happened. And now DaVante and I are plugged in, and now y'all are about to be plugged in with DaVante. It's a family, La Familia.
Yeah, JR has a lot of connections.
For sure, he definitely
Yeah.
does. So shout out to him. Listen, DaVante, we were talking before we actually got started, and we have our own connection because you are currently in Ohio, and I got fam in Cleveland.
Yes, good old Ohio. Good old Ohio.
Yes. Now, I'm not going to throw any shade, all right? He says he does root for the Cleveland teams on occasions, but we can see the sports in the background right now. So let's just jump into that side. Coming up in Ohio, your sports teams, run them off for me. Who are your sports teams?
Basketball. I am a Sixers fan. Allen Iverson, my GOAT. I think he's just that my generation. He was the guy, right? So everybody wanted to be like Iverson. You had braids. I had braids back. Thank God I don't have no more. But I went through that phase, right? Football. I'm a Broncos fan, which is kind of against the rules being here from Cleveland. It's either you can't be a Pittsburgh fan or a Bronco fan, but you can be anything else, right? Baseball. I am a Yankees fan, and that's probably because of my dad. But yeah, I mean, I cheer for the home team. I want them to do good, but these are my guys, these are my team, so I gotta stick with them.
Now, are you the kind of dad that is instilling your sports teams into your kids?
Yes, yes, but it it does make me cringe because I don't want to say that because it's bad. It's a horrible thing to say. But my youngest daughter, her name is Tatum, right? And of
Right.
course, I hate the Celtics and Jason Tatum. So every time I'm like, dang, I shouldn't have done that. But like, I love the name, but like, dang it. And so if he scorches us, then I'm like, all right, Tatum, you can't get no snacks tonight. So,
I'm
but
not
yes,
mad at it.
I push the teams on them. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Listen, I think you kind of have that right as a parent, you're raising them. And sometimes parents might say kids raise the parents as well. It's a combination. But in that retrospect, you gotta grow up, repping my team, you don't, I'm putting you onto the sport.
right, right. Yeah, you got to. It's under these households, under these rules. So like, I make sure that I take, pictures. That way, when if Throwback Thursday is still a thing, that way they got something to resort to. Like, I was a Sixers fan since this age, a Broncos fan since this age. Yeah, so.
Yeah, that is honestly one of my claim to fames because I was a Warriors fan before the highlights, back when it was Monte Ellis and Stephen Curry trying to figure out whose team it was, back with the We
Right.
Believe Steve Jack, it was way back when.
You got proof. Yeah, you got to have
Right,
proof before.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. Now let's jump in. You mentioned one of your daughters, Tatum, and you are actually a father of two girls, one boy,
Yep. Two girls, one boy.
and you are also a twin dad.
Twin dad. Yep. My
So
son and my daughter are twins. Yep. Oldest.
let's jump in right there in that moment that you became, or the moment you found out you were not only becoming a father, but a twin dad. Did you find that out at the same time, or did that come later?
I found that out at the same time. So I knew it and preparing for it, and it was just at first, okay, I could do it. It's just one. I'm like two. Oh my goodness, but then like uh the support system, like my mother, grandparents, things like that, it made things better. It helps, right? It
Mhm.
definitely helps. Yeah.
Now, do you yourself also have siblings?
Yes. So
Okay.
I have five, no, four brothers. So it's five of
Mhm.
us. Yep. Four brothers, no
Oh,
sisters.
oh wow.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, all praises to your parents. Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm an only child. So sibling type relationships, I just can't relate. Wow. Okay. So there's four brothers, five total of you, of your siblings. And
Mhm.
you also became, do twins run in your side of the family?
Yeah. So my mom's side of the family. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to, that moment of like, not only am I a dad, but it's two of them at the.
Yeah. It was just like, like double everything. Like, it was double worrying, double
Mhm.
anxiousness. Everything was just double to the
Yeah.
extreme, right? Because like it's two, right? It's not
Yeah.
just one, it's two,
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was very nerve-wracking, but it worked out. We're still here, we're still standing.
Right. Come on now. We still standing.
Yeah.
Amen and amen. Now you said the twins are about to become teenagers, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So as you are about to officially be the parent of teenagers, a son and a daughter, and you're not new to this. You're in the game, all right? You've been in this fatherhood, La Familia for a minute. So talk to
Right.
me about, in your opinion, are there differences for you between raising a son and a daughter?
Yes, it's different because and I thought that raising, a girl would be different than raising a boy because I'm a boy, obviously, right? But no, the raising my son is more difficult than raising my daughter, right? Because I don't know if it was like how I was when I was a kid, but like I don't remember, but like it's reminding to shower, reminding to clean up, reminding to do these things and stuff like that. Schoolwork being important. Like my daughter, she gets it. Like she's very independent, so she'll get her stuff done. She'll do things. You don't have to harp on her much. But the twin boy, like, it's more so just like, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this, you got to do that, and anything besides video games and sports, like he's oblivious to it, right? So, and I don't know if this how boys are because I can't remember back when I was a day, but it's difficult, not difficult in a bad way, but it's just like it's easier with her, right?
Right,
Just put it, it's easier with her.
right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, all right, in this moment, I'm gonna say, I hear you. Can't relate, but I hear you. And that's one of the things I enjoy about having these conversations, because I will scream until the wheels fall off. I will not assume to know what it's like to be a parent, because I, in proper English here, ain't one. But I know I always tell my parents every year as I get older, I'm just like, wow, thank you, because y'all were just some kids that had a kid. And whoa.
Yeah. And it's like of course they're always in the same grade, right? Sometimes in the same class. So your parent teacher conferences, you'll have teachers saying like, well, your daughter is always, sometimes we don't even have to talk to your son because your daughter is always putting him in check and telling him to stop acting up, stop talking in class. And it's like, she gets it. He
Yeah.
wants to be the class clown. He's into girls. He's into being cool, like shoes and stuff like that. So I want to say it's me, but I feel like I took showers all the time. But like, I don't know what it is. So
Yeah. What is
yeah.
that moment like, or maybe those moments over the years where you look at your kids and you're just like, you see you and you're just kind of like, what is that? That's me right there.
So the good thing is like I used to I don't want to call myself sneaky, but like I used to try to get stuff over on my parents, right?
Mhm.
So, you know, now I can foresee everything. Like, when he's about to lie, I know when he's about to lie. Like, or when they're being sneaky, I know when they're being sneaky and stuff like that. Like the manipulation tricks that my mom used to do on us, like, well, your brother already told on you, so you might as well tell. And like, dang,
Mhm.
he told on me, so now I told. Now I'm telling the truth. Now I snitched on everybody. Right. So I'm using those things now. I'm thinking like, dang, this is how she really got us. So it's like, this is really, this is really me. Like, so and then there's like other things like just being picky, the things that they like and stuff like that. I'm like, that's me. So
Yeah.
like, and I knew it annoyed my mom, but I was a kid. But now I'm like, "Ugh, you want this, you want that, like that was me." So it's like, goodness gracious, where are
Yeah.
you getting this from? Yeah.
I always tell my friends, only a few of my friends have kids, but when the rest of them start having kids, I always tell them I'm gonna be around to never say like, no, 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 that was you. No, 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 don't get mad. That's what you
Right.
did.
Right. That is
I just
exactly
can't
what you
wait.
did. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't wait to remind them. Like, no, 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 don't get brand new. Don't get brand
Yeah.
new.
Nope. That is exactly who you were. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
I love it. I love it. Now, as I mentioned
But
earlier, go ahead.
also the other cool thing is like I see like my siblings in them as well.
Oh,
Like I of course I played the game as a kid and stuff like that, but like it wasn't a thing. But like my little brother, my baby brother, he will play. He's probably played the game right now. Like I can call him right now. He's probably playing the game. Like he's played the game since he was born till now. But that's my son, right? Then
wow.
my oldest brother, he has this. I don't want to say it's petty, but he has this very stern attitude. Like like he's so stubborn. Like he'll rather get it wrong and then figure
Mhm.
out how to get it right versus someone stepping in saying like, hey, this is what you need to do, right?
Right.
And that's my daughter. Like she will rather get it wrong and figure it out on her own in the end versus taking less time and having me be like, hey, maybe you should do it this way. And it's like that's my brother. Like so
Yeah.
it's like it's and then like I see my mom and then like yeah, it's all funny. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild to me, just kind of hearing that. Cause like I kind of understand it just from a family perspective, just because my mom has two siblings. My dad's only child, but just kind of seeing how what my grandmother is like and what my mom is like and her sister. But as yourself, a parent, just kind of having those moments where it's like, is this deja vu or are you
Right.
my
Yeah.
you my brother right now or my son?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Wow, I love it. I love it. As I was saying, we were chopping it up before we actually began. And so DaVante, everyone, was telling me about his career field, which is a very selfless one as a staff development specialist.
So basically, what a stat development specialist is, you're basically your company, your agency's trainer, and your objective is to train the employees there all upon the policies and objectives and rules and regulations of your company or organization. So that's what I do, and our organization has to just be in a criminal field. So
Because you also work with people that, what's the word, that are,
addiction and drug
yeah,
abuse. Yep.
yeah.
Drug abuse and alcohol addiction. Yeah. So it's focused on that, where we have halfway houses and things like that. Halfway houses are basically just you're not in jail, but you're not home yet, right?
Mhm.
Still certain things that you need to do to um, complete your time, basically. And the good thing about I don't want to talk bad about anybody who works in the justice system. But the good thing about halfway houses is that they're not jails. Like,
Mhm.
jails, you can put somebody in a jail and the jail will have you and like every other person in there sit down in a class to focus on rehabilitating you, right? Well, I'm
Mhm.
sitting next to someone maybe murdered somebody, someone maybe stole something, someone has a drug addiction, someone has an alcohol addiction, and I'm an arsonist, right? So
Mhm.
therefore, we all can't get the same thing, right? This is just basically a blanket covering, right? This is a
Mhm.
blanket statement of, rehabilitation versus a halfway house. We focus on individualized program planning. So even if we have the same, let's say both have alcohol addictions, right? Your journey, your story is different than mine. So therefore, even though we have the same thing, you still have your individualized program plan, and I have my
Right.
individualized program plan. So now I'm not just sitting in jail, passing time by. I'm actually being productive and trying to rehabilitate myself.
Mhm.
Right. So we make sure that we gear our staff with enough confidence, which you need confidence to even work in that field, even talk to someone, enough humility, enough accountability, and just enough knowledge to work in that with that population because it's not easy. It's not hard, but it's definitely not easy. And it takes a lot of heart, takes a lot of compassion, and it is a very stressful field, right? There's not enough money to pay anybody to be called bad names, to be spit at, stuff like that, right? So therefore, you have to have some type of helping piece. And we have people who worked there for years, decades, and things like that. And then, so I mean, like we're doing a good job. I'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, no, no. And I'm glad you elaborated a little bit more because I wanted to lean in there for a moment. Because with that career field, I wanted to know, do you feel like any of the lessons you learned working in that career field helped you in parenthood?
Yeah, it taught me patience, right? Everybody's gonna go through something, right? And you can't take that away from you can't take someone's experience away from them, right?
Mhm.
You have to learn as you go. Like especially this day and age, like I know kids are growing up way fast now. Kids are growing up way fast. The vocabulary, the choices of words that they use. Like I thought, I was taught hate was a bad word, right? So now they're going beyond hate.
Yes.
Um, so like, I mean, there's peer pressure. There's a lot of things that happen, especially around kids. So you have to be patient. You have to let them walk their line because if you can't, knowing what I know and working where I work, world gets a little scary and you see a lot of things, hear a lot of things, but I can't, you know, push them a certain way because then if I push them a certain way, it could also repel them even further to, a demise. So I have to be patient with them and as things happen, as like experiences happen, like I remember like probably like 3 months ago, a mom called me and said that, a kid was drinking that hung out with the twins, and I had to talk to them about drinking and things like that. She said they weren't drinking, but that kid was, and she was just worried as if it ever happened and stuff like that. So I had to talk to them about that stuff. Like you can't just bring it out of the thin air and be like, hey, drinking is bad. Well, why
Mhm.
is it bad? You have to let things. I don't want to say let them drink, but they're going to experience things. Things are
Right.
going to happen. They're going to be incidents in school, other kids, newspapers, clippings, and things like that, headlines. And that's when you start talking about those things. Like you can't really rush into it because if you do, then you kind of, I don't want to say open their eyes to things, but you kind of, I don't want to say force, not even force their hand, but you kind of, you can really open Pandora's box by forcing the issue. And that's something you
Mhm.
don't want to do, especially with kids. So you have to be patient.
Right, right. No, I appreciate you sharing that because I think, again, I'm going to keep being redundant, not a parent here, but I
Right.
think there are definitely moments and chapters of our lives that would prepare us a little bit for parenting. I know there's not a rule book on it, there's no real preparation, but as the journey of parenthood continues on, there may be some things you learned a while back from your job, from your family that it's like, oh, this applies here too.
Right. Yeah. Especially being like a high school coach, because I mean, like as kids get older, like you know, you experience those things too. And like I treat those kids that I coach is the same way as I would treat my kids as well. So it's like the stories, especially to go around the high school. I mean, we all were in high school too, so we understand those stories and things like that. So it's a lot. You really have to be patient, and you really have to make sure that you're saying the right thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, that's a nugget
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
You
Because like
have to say the right
if you say
thing.
if you say the wrong thing, it can be bad. Like you know, like you got to make sure you're saying the wrong thing. Like eh, you can't really, I don't want to say like punish or give consequences. Like you let them know that it's wrong and you let them know that it's not acceptable, but you can't really like, I don't want to say belittle them, make them feel less than things like that. You should have to empower that person to be beyond that or be above that incident
Mhm.
that just happened. Because if
Yeah.
not, then I mean, with so many bad influences and things like that, like that people have around, it's easy to accept those things,
Mhm.
right? So you have to make sure you're saying the right things when you find yourself in those situations.
For sure. I know one of the things that my parents' generation and even some of our generation grew up on is parents saying, do as I say, not as I do.
Right.
But I know one thing that you recently accomplished is becoming a bodybuilder. And you actually had your first show a few months ago, or a couple of months ago. And that's one thing that, you know, when I was doing my preliminary research on the face of the book, and you were saying you had to dedicate, you know, 7 months of time into that. So what do you think it does for your kids when they see dad dedicating 7 months of their life to accomplishing a goal, to reaching you know, this end point? Because it's one of those things where it's like you're showing them, you know, the example. So what do you feel like as a parent that kind of shows your kids?
It it was very challenging, right? So I set out a goal and I wanted to reach it and I did. And my goal was to get on stage. My goal wasn't to win, and I never want to say tell someone like, hey, don't strive to win. But because they asked me and said, well, why don't you want to win? I said, well, I don't want to win. I want to get on the stage, right? And let whatever happens happen. They said, no, you should win, Dad. Like you should try to win. I'm like, it, it would be great to win, but I want to get up there because it's something I've never done. And if I feel like I belong, then it can open a door that can lead me to other places, right?
Mhm.
So I strive to get there. And then again, the night before the show, they're like, "What are you gonna win?" I said, "Me getting on the stage is a win." They said,
Yeah.
"Well, how? Like, because anybody can get up there and do it." I said, "Anybody can." But it's if you're willing to go through all this. And I said, you have to go through some things. You're going to challenge yourself and you're going to reach out a goal. Sometimes you're not going to win. And if you beat yourself up over, you know, not getting first place, then you're never going to feel accomplished because you're not always going to get first place. And sometimes first place isn't achievable, right? I want to be, you know, a millionaire. I want to be CEO of a company. I want to, you know, all these other things. But like, does that mean that my other goals that I accomplish aren't as exciting? You know, but they are, and you have to champion along the way. Like you have to find your trophies before you get a trophy. Because if you learn how to appreciate the trophies along the way, then you can appreciate the big trophy at the end, right? Because there's
Mhm.
some people who do win, and then they're done, right? And then it means nothing. Or they got it, they're done. That hunger's not there. But half the cup has to stay half full instead of full.
Yeah.
And it got to the point like during like preparation, um, the kids were so involved with it because they're like, I would try to like, there's days where I would try to sneak food, sneak the snacks, stuff like that. And they're like, no, you can't do that. You got to show, you got to, I'm like, man, come on. You know, like I'll cook my food and they'll have their food, and they'll have Chick-fil-A sometimes. I'm like, just give me a fry, just one to be okay. And like, no, you can't do that. And like, so it's just like they're involved. They kind of pushed me to the end as well.
Wow. I love that. And I'm just going to lean in right here because you having that conversation with them is teaching them about setting achievable goals, realistic goals. And realistic goals does not mean that you're limiting yourself. It means
Right.
you're being realistic. And like you said,
Right.
celebrating the victories along the way. I tell my friends all the time, we celebrate small victories, okay? No
Yeah.
matter the size,
Yeah.
small victories are a win. I have one friend that loves to eat out, and she went without eating out for like 16 days. I was like, that's a win, because that is not the norm. And someone may be like, okay, and but I'm like, no, you have to celebrate, the small victories. So I love that your kids are seeing you show up for yourself, show up for your goals, celebrating small victories, because those are things that you're instilling in them now, especially as they become teenagers. I hear the preteen stage is basically teenager anyway, but
Right.
as they become
Yeah.
teenagers, that's something that's going to stick with them. So I love that. I really do.
Yeah. And I didn't place in the show. Uh, I don't know where I have to find out where I placed, but I didn't place like top five, whatever the case may be. I don't even think I placed top 10. But the feedback from the judges was that, you look like you belonged. Like it was my first show, and like everybody else, it was their second or third. So like,
Mhm.
they have way more experience, right? So they told me like, you look like you belong, and that's the best advice you can ever get. Even though it was your first time, you looked really good for your first time, and we want you to continue, but work on these things, etc., etc. And you take it from there, and then you just go. So like, I'm proud that I got up there, because a lot of people don't. A lot of people can, but people don't want to limit themselves or put themselves through that, which is
Mhm.
is strict, But I'm glad I did, and it was great. It was a great experience, and like I said, I championed by getting on the stage, so I won, and that was good. That was good for me. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like I saw that you said you were eating an egg for breakfast for 7 months
No,
and
6 eggs.
6 eggs. Okay. See,
Yeah.
and when you say everybody, it's like everybody can, but not everybody will. I'm part of
Yeah.
it. Everybody cannot. Like, so
It's
I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just one of those
it's
things that your kids it's gonna stick with them.
Yeah, they'll see the hard work and dedication, not even just to have to be a bodybuilder, but what it takes to be committed to something and stick it through. And
Mhm.
that's really what I want to show them. Like, when you're committed, you stick it through.
Yeah.
And like, I couldn't have done it without people around the support system. And like, it shows them that, you have to have a support system to do anything. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Listen, we're getting life lessons on all cylinders, telling them that you need to have friends that are willing to be in your corner, okay?
Yeah,
So Ronnie, Bobby,
friends
Ricky, and Mike over there, if they're not supporting you, they're not your friend.
at all, at all. Yeah.
I love it. One of the things that I also wanted to talk to you about, we talked about it, of course, a lot last year during our Father's Day celebration. And again, anyone who's tuning in, this is DaVante McKinney, and we are having an amazing conversation. He is one of our fathers. We are celebrating this year, 2021 Father's Day celebration on the dialogue. And I'm just excited for this conversation. I think people are really going to gravitate towards it because it's real, it's authentic, and it's just conversations that we need to have.
Right.
Um, but one of the things I did want to ask you about is I know the world is opening up and we outside, but when the pandemic was first starting underway and we had to do quarantine, you had two preteens and then you have another younger daughter. So as a parent, what was that initial conversation? I just want to backtrack and reflect real quick. What was that conversation like when you had to say, hey, we're not going to school?
So it was a little bit of push and pull. One wanted to go to school, one didn't want to go to school, and we kind of got on the same page of not going to school. But having school at home was, I think, all parents across America, everywhere. Um, it was tough. Like, I appreciated school. I was smart in school, 4.0 student. Um, but this new math and all this other stuff they be doing, like, it is different, like 1 plus 1 don't equal 2 anymore. It's 1.5 and 2/4 and 3/5, and you got to make it to 2. I'm like, you know, and I'm helping them with the homework. Yeah, I'm helping with homework, and then like, you got to show work. Well, why can't you just do it this way? No, you got to show it this way and break it down. I'm like, I only know it this way. And like, it's funny. So I mean, like, It was a little stressful, but we kind of got around to it and got a schedule, got a routine and things like that, and it became good. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. I know, just like I said, a year ago when everything was kind of starting, and I'm talking to these fathers about that conversation, and everyone's still trying to figure it out. Like, okay, what? Like you said, we got a 1 + 1 is not 2. It's actually
Yeah.
-4. What? Like,
Right. And the good thing is like I got a job where I can work remote. So it's like I can stay home and work and things like that. So I was there a lot during their school time at home. So it made things better.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Man. Okay. So as we wrap up, I have another final question for you, because it's one thing that there's a topic of self-care, and it's one thing that I know is definitely involved for moms and just women in general. Make time for yourself, sis. Self-care Sunday, all of that. But when it comes to men, and especially fathers, what advice would you give to any fathers that need to get back to their own self-care?
Um, your piece is important. The best advice I ever got from someone, um, which kind of helped me regulate as a father, because sometimes we don't know the type of energy or the vibe we bring. We could just, as males, like sometimes we don't show things um, outwardly, right? Our emotions, but sometimes we hold it in. But the best advice I got, which helped me regulate through friendships, relationships, and parenting, was um, be a thermostat, right? You set the temperature for your household. You set the vibe, you set the energy, you set what goes on in your household, the moods, everything like that. Everybody else is going to be the thermometer. So as males, the people around us are going to read us. They're going to pick up that temperature, and whatever we show or whatever we set, they're going to show. So as far as fatherhood, it's like your house, like you got to be your peace. Like if you're not feeling right, if you're not feeling well, if you're not feeling right, or you want some time, space to yourself, which we all need, especially as fathers, then I think verbally say it. Because if you don't, then there's other things that can domino effect from that. And I think that kind of what gets us as males to be a little bit frustrated when we don't have to be, but don't be a thermometer. Don't read the temperature in the house, set the temperature in the house. And I think, that helps you keep your peace. And like, I think the peace is the most important thing ever. Yeah.
Wow. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Thank you. I like when I use
Yeah.
it, I'll give you credit. I like that.
Yeah. Someone told that
Awesome.
to me, and like, it just set with me, because I mean, like, because stressful day at work, I come home and then, and then like now the kids are like, oh, dad's a little upset. And it's like, now everybody's upset, or now everybody's attitude. Like, and then it creates further things, like instead of just, setting the temperature and stuff like that. Like, we're strong enough to, uphold things, and we don't have to be as strong as we need to be or want to be. I mean, whatever it is that you need, you got to just say it, because, it's okay.
Wow. Thank you. I
Yeah.
just
Appreciate
felt it right here, right here.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Everyone, I just want to say, first of all, thank you, DaVante,
Yeah, thank you. I
for
appreciate it. This is beautiful. Yeah, I like this.
yeah, same, same. Every conversation is just kind of like a different level of an eye opener, because again, not a parent. But I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you being a dynamic father, loving on your children, and just instilling those life lessons in them, and being the thermostat. Okay. I love that for you. And everyone who is watching, I appreciate it. Shout out to all of the fathers out there. If you know a father and you want to give them a shout out, feel free to drop their name in the comment section down below. We celebrate fathers, yes, in June, but really all year round, because again, parents can't clock out. You just can't. It's not a thing. If it was, they would probably do it. Right. But no, sincerely, thank you again, DaVante. And everyone, if you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, definitely do that. We will have more Father's Day content coming your way. And any questions below, feel free to drop them down. I'm not a parent, but I'll find a parent to answer them. And with that, this is the Dialogue Father's Day Special Edition. And this is DaVante McKinney, and we will see you guys on the next one.
Thank you.